Hey, what's going on everyone? So today I wanted to make a update video on a previous video that I made. That video being how to install 7-inch headlights on your Hummer H3. If you guys haven't watched that video, definitely give it a watch before this video. But anyway, since uploading that video, there has been a couple of changes that I do want to mention, and I also want to go over some of the reoccurring questions that I get in the comments section. So let's go ahead and get into that. So one of the first things that I need to cover is that there has been a small design change made on the headlight adapters. This change isn't actually on the main part of the adapter, the ring, but rather on the studs. Just to give you guys a refresher, originally when I made that video, the studs had a large hole on the back of them. And what you were supposed to do is put those studs over the ball heads on the headlight assembly. So back when I was filming that video, I was actually one of the first few guys to get those headlight adapters, so I kind of got like an early version, I guess you could say, but since then the design has been updated, so let's go ahead and get into what that looks like. So here is our new headlight adapter. Right now I don't actually have on the metal retaining ring that actually clamps the headlight down to the actual main part of the adapter. That's actually an off-the-shelf component, so that design won't be changing at all. And as I said previously, the main part of the adapter ring has not been changed. It's just when we go ahead and flip it around, we can actually see that our studs have been changed. And these studs are still removable, so you could still unscrew them from the main part of the adapter, just like you could do previously. So now if we look at the back of the studs, we can now see that we got these three little screws in here. Previously we just had a large hole opening in the back, and that was just meant to go right over the ball head of the headlight assembly, but we're no longer going to be doing that. Instead, we're going to be reusing the factory 4-prong clips on our OEM headlight. So since we no longer have those large size holes in the back of these updated studs, do not follow what I was doing in the tutorial. As you kind of saw me do in the tutorial, I was actually sanding down one of the insides of one of the studs to put it on with a drill. Please do not do this with the V2 updated studs, because you will literally just break the stud. So instead of what I was doing in the tutorial, what we now need to do is go ahead and take our OEM headlight right here, flip it around, and as you can see on the back of it, we have these 4-prong clips. These were the original clips that actually held the headlight onto the headlight assembly, the main part of it. So what we're basically just going to be doing here is just removing these 4-prong clips off of here and then putting them on our new adapter. So let's go ahead and get a Allen key and just start unscrewing them. So here is the first one. Let's go ahead and unscrew this. Alright, here's the first one. Second one. Okay. Alright, that's the third. Now we can go ahead and put our OEM headlight to the side. We will no longer be needing it. Now what you also need to do is go ahead and take out the original screws. We will no longer be needing them. They're actually too long. That's why our new headlight studs actually come with new screws on them. So let's just go ahead and put those to the side. So now let's go ahead and take our Allen key and then take the screws off of the back of our studs so we could put on our 4-prong clips. That's one. Alright, here's number 2. Alright, here's number 3. So now let's just go ahead and take our 4-prong clip, insert our screw, get our Allen key on there, kind of just push it like this, and then start screwing it in. Just kind of like that. Alright, that's the first one. Alright, let's do the second one. Okay, that one's done. And now for our last one. Just like that. Okay. Alright, now that's tight, and then you could just go ahead, take your OEM screws, and just put them back into your OEM headlight, just so you don't lose them, in case you ever need them. And then now you can just go ahead and set this to the side. And that's it. Now we got our headlight adapter with the V2 studs. I know this is kind of a small change, but I really wanted to cover it so you guys don't think that there's like a manufacturing defect with your new adapters. And the last thing I want you to do is try to like drill into these and like bore a hole, because they are not made for that. They are made for these new 4-prong clips, because that would not be good if you drilled into these. Now I do want to say is if you already purchased a set of these headlight adapters with the V1 version, that they are still perfectly usable. In fact, I got both of these adapters on my H13 H13s with the V1 studs, and they work absolutely fine. So I'm not going to be upgrading to these because it would just be more unnecessary work. So if you have the V1, I would just keep them. If you really want to go with the V2 ones, you could possibly contact Lays Designs to see if he could sell you just the V2 ones. But yeah, if you got the original V1s, I would still stick with those. They work fine. Now, other than these little 4-prong clips, you'll be doing the headlight install the exact same way that you did it in the original video. I do want to stress, however, that you really should build up the headlight adapter piece by piece. So you should actually go ahead, just like I did in the video, and put each one of these studs on individually. You shouldn't have them screwed into the adapter like this and then try pushing it on. The reason why I say that is that if you try doing that, the adapters could possibly break. And that's not due to any design fault with the adapters. It's just how GM made the original headlight assembly. In fact, I actually broke 2 of the clips on the original headlight, because I know I didn't break any in the video just for demonstration purposes, but realistically I took this headlight off 5 times while filming, and you know, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, putting it on wasn't the best thing because I literally broke them. So I do not want that to happen with you, because if you break this, you got to buy a whole new adapter, and that wouldn't be good. So that is just my advice. So first, you know, you just start with the studs, then you put it on the adapter, add the light, and then your metal retaining ring, and then you're done. And the same thing for disassembly. I would disassemble the whole thing piece by piece. I wouldn't try to pull it off because you might break it because of GM's bad original design. Now, the second update that we need to cover since the release of the 7-inch headlight video is actually a new addition by Lays Designs, which are these. If you guys aren't sure what these are actually headlight surrounds made to be used with the 7-inch headlight adapters. Now, originally when I posted the 7-inch headlight video, a lot of people really liked it. However, there were some comments saying that they didn't like how the new 7-inch headlight adapters left a gap all around the grille, like you could see inside. And I kind of get where they're coming from with that. I was just really happy to get some new 7-inch lights. But since they were so popular and a lot of you guys did the install, so many of you guys were asking for it, Lays Designs decided to come out with these headlight surrounds. So if you were really on the fence about getting a pair of the 7-inch headlight adapters because of those gaps that they create, these will give you a much more factory look that you may be looking for. So if you guys are interested in getting these, you can actually get them from the Lays Designs website. That's the same place where they sell the adapters. I will actually be doing a full-length tutorial on how to install these. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I can actually go over it really quick. Basically, how these things work is they actually sit over the metal retaining ring. So basically, they have a little cut on the top of this, and what you could do is literally just slide this over the metal retaining ring on our headlight adapter, and then after that, all you got to do is take a screwdriver and just go ahead and start screwing that in. And that's literally it. All you got to do, clamp it on there, and then you're basically good. Obviously, this is going to be one of the very last things you do if you're doing the 7-inch headlight install. You should already have the headlight on there, mounted, everything wired, and the very last thing is all you got to do is stick this on, and then you can go ahead and put back on your grill guard, and then you're done. So now that we got the updates out of the way, we can go ahead and get into some of those frequently asked questions, as well as some clarifications. I'll just go ahead right now and make a timestamp graphic so you can skip around if you're looking for something specific in this video. So just go ahead and pause the video if you need to. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I really want to clarify is that I myself am not the owner of Lays Designs, nor do I have any ownership in the company. The reason why I wanted to mention that is I've gotten some people trying to reach out to me to ask about their order and order status. Sorry, that is the one thing I actually can't help you with because I'm not a part of Lays Designs. If you do need to contact Lays Designs, what you could do is go to their website. They have a contact page there. You can also go over to their Instagram or their Facebook and contact them there if you do need help with an order. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't do anything related to orders. What I do here on this YouTube channel is to show you how you can install the products that they sell. So if you do need help with your install, feel free to go ahead and reach out to me. You can go ahead and leave a comment on this video. You can also go ahead and message me on Instagram. My username is @Acer4Low, or you can go ahead and message me on Facebook. I'll go ahead and have those links in the description. Now, another thing we really need to cover is the availability of some of the Lays Design products and about them being out of stock. If you guys have tried going on the Lays Design's website within the past few months, you may have noticed that sometimes products like the Headlight and fog light adapters, as well as the Headlight surrounds, were out of stock and not available for purchase. Now, if you see products like this out of stock, this isn't a permanent thing, rather a temporary one. Lays Designs is a smaller size company, and when they're receiving more orders than they can handle, they will mark products as out of stock temporarily. This is basically just done so they don't get overwhelmed with too many orders where they aren't able to fulfill them in a timely manner. And also, this is really just to make sure that you guys out there ordering products aren't waiting months and months on end to receive the stuff that you bought. So if you see stuff out of stock on their website, do not worry, they are not going out of business, they just aren't taking any new orders at the moment. So just go ahead and check back maybe in a week or two and see if they are back in stock, and you should be good to go. Now, another thing that I want to clarify is when you go to install your new 7-inch headlights, that you only need to buy one of the two polarity converter harnesses. If you recall, in the original 7-inch headlight video, I actually showed you two different ways how you can wire up the headlights. I guess a few people out there got confused and actually thought you needed to buy both for some reason. The reason why I chose to cover two different methods on how to basically achieve the same results is both harnesses had their positives and their negatives. Now, the first method that I showed you in the video was the relay harness kit. The reason why I like this harness to begin with is the fact that it is serviceable. If you aren't sure what I mean by that, basically if a part of the harness goes bad, say either the 5-pin relays or the fuse, all you have to do is swap them out for a new one and you're good to go. Now, the same cannot be said for our second method, which are the polarity converter boxes. These units are actually completely sealed closed and they aren't meant to be taken apart and fixed. So if one of them goes bad, you basically have to replace them. For that reason, if you decide to go with method 2, which are the polarity converter boxes, I would recommend actually getting a second set of the boxes. That way you can have spare parts on hand if one of your boxes stops working on you, and then you won't have to drive around with one working headlight while you order a new set online. This would also be really useful, especially if you're traveling and you can't actually get 2-day Amazon shipping. Now, all that being said, I do think the second method, the polarity converter boxes, make for a far easier install than the relay harness kit. Basically, all you have to do with the polarity converter boxes is plug them into your headlight, connect them to a ground, and then you could plug them into your factory headlight harness, and that's it. With the relay harness kit, there is some more work to do, because in addition to all the stuff that I just mentioned, you have to run a wire under the radiator support from the passenger headlight, and then you got to connect that positive red wire to the battery. And realistically, that wire isn't long enough, so you will need to extend it by doing some soldering, extend the wire from there for you to run it properly. And then after that, you'll be good to go. So hopefully you can kind of see why I included both harnesses in the video. The relay harness kit is a great solution if you want the harness to be serviceable, but if you're new to modifying vehicles, the polarity converter boxes make for a far easier install for those beginner guys out there. As of right now, a year later, I've had both of these harnesses installed on both of my H3s with no problems yet. So I'm pretty happy to report a whole year later that both of the harnesses are still working great. If anything goes wrong in the future or one of them stops working, I will be sure to let you guys know, but as of right now, both of them are working great. Now, the next thing that I want to clarify is actually on the subject of the polarity converter boxes, and that is to make sure you are getting the correct ones. That is, if you decide to go with method 2. I did actually see a few people out there get confused and accidentally buy the wrong ones. On Amazon right now, there is actually a pair of boxes that look just like the ones we need, but they don't actually do what we need them to do. Here's a picture of what they look like, and as you can see, they look similar at first glance. However, these are actually called an anti-flicker harness, and they're actually made for an entirely different reason. Typically, Jeep owners actually need to use these harnesses when they upgrade from their stock headlights to new 7-inch LED headlights, because when they go to plug in their new LED headlights, a lot of the time they don't work like you would expect. It's pretty strange, but their new lights will actually flicker really fast instead of staying on consistently. This is great and all, but in our case, it doesn't help us at all. On the H3, we do not have a problem with our 7-inch headlights flickering, and these boxes are not actually switching the polarity like we need them to. So basically, these things aren't helping us at all. One pretty easy way to tell if the boxes you're looking at are an anti-flicker harness is if one or both of the ends have an H13 plug on them instead of an H4 plug. The correct ones that we need to use will have H4 connections on both of the ends. Also, kind of common sense, but it should mention right in the description if it is a polarity converter or an anti-flicker harness. So that's everything we need to know on that. So let's go ahead and move on. So another thing I need to cover is what if your new 7-inch headlights don't have an H4 plug on them? In my tutorial, both the 7-inch headlights that I showcased did actually have the same H4 plug on them. I didn't cover this in the original video, but a lot of the higher end brand name 7-inch headlights in the $3 to even $1,000 range, such as KC lights, JW speaker, etc., do not actually use an H4 plug, but they rather use an H13 plug on their headlights. In my original 7-inch headlight video, I was mainly featuring the cheaper style of headlights you can get on Amazon for around $80 to $150, simply because they were more affordable and they do a pretty good job. Almost all these cheaper 7-inch headlights you see on Amazon or eBay with names such as Sunpie, Bic Yakko, Z-Moon, etc. are all in fact no-name brands. They may go under different names on the listing, but these headlights are basically being manufactured by only a few different companies in China with no name attached to them. Then what Amazon sellers are doing is buying them in bulk through places like Alibaba and then reselling them on Amazon with whatever company name they come up with. But anyway, back to the point. Almost all these 7-inch headlights have a H4 plug on them, and they also include a H13 to H4 adapter in the box. So if your new 7-inch headlight does in fact have a H13 plug on them, don't worry, these will actually still work. There's just one additional thing that we will have to do to make them function normally. What we're going to need is an adapter called a H4 to H13 adapter. Now this actually might get confusing, but try to bear with me on this. This adapter here is actually different than the one I used in my original video, which was called a H13 to H4 adapter. Basically, these adapters are exact opposites. What doesn't help either is I mistakenly called the H13 to H4 adapter, the ones that you get in the box, by the wrong name, and instead calling them the opposite, which is a H4 to H13 adapter instead. I didn't actually realize this until the video was shot and edited, and at that point it would have been way too much work to try to go back and change it. So I apologize for that mistake, but anyway, if you have one of those higher end brand name 7-inch headlights with the H13 plug, you will just need to add a H4 to H13 adapter. So this new adapter will plug right into your polarity converter harness, and then from there you just have to plug it into your new 7-inch headlights. So I know this can kind of get confusing, so let's go ahead and go over this on a diagram. So the first thing that you have is your stock headlight harness. This is the harness that you originally plug your halogen bulbs into. So let's go ahead and take that and then plug in our H13 to H4 adapter right into the factory harness. Next up, we're going to go ahead and take our H13 to H4 adapter and plug that right into our polarity converter. As you know, the polarity converter has an H4 plug on it. Then, if and only if you have 7-inch headlights with an H13 plug, plug in your H4 to H13 adapter into your polarity converter. And then from there, you could plug in that H4 to H13 adapter right into your headlights. And now you should be good. So basically, we're only adding that one additional harness, and that's it. Now, all of this being said, if you are in fact buying 7-inch headlights that have that H13 plug on them, unlike the cheap 7-inch Amazon headlights, your new brand name headlights will not come with an H13 to H4 adapter because they already have an H13 plug on them, and having a adapter would be pointless. So basically that means you have to buy this adapter separately from Amazon. So here is just a summary of what you need to buy if you are buying 7-inch headlights with a H13 plug on it. You will need a pair of H13 to H4 adapters, also a pair of H4 to H13 adapters, and a polarity converter. And once you have all of those, you should be good. All of those harnesses that I just mentioned you can get on Amazon, so I will go ahead and put those links in the description to make it easier for you guys. So hopefully that cleared that up for you guys. I did actually try to see if you can get a polarity converter that already has H13 plugs on both sides instead of an H4, so you wouldn't actually need those adapters, but it doesn't look like anyone sells them. So if you guys just want a plug-and-play system that just works, go ahead and follow these steps that I just listed out. Obviously, for those of you out there that are a little bit better with wiring and soldering and whatnot, you could always go ahead and cut off the H4 ends and put on H13 onto your polarity converter harnesses, so you don't actually need the adapters, but I'm not going to get into that. That's just optional if you guys want to do that. Okay, so hopefully that clears that all up. Geez, that was a lot of explanation for one little adapter. Let's go ahead and move on. Now, the next thing I want to cover is what if your headlights don't come on at all? Say you've already followed all the instructions in the tutorial, making sure you wired up everything correctly, you go to put your key in, you turn on the electronics on your H3, and the lights don't come on at all. So if this does in fact happen to you, what you should try doing is starting your H3 and then putting it in drive to see if your headlights come on. Now, I actually experienced this myself when I went to go install these 7-inch headlights on a second vehicle, that being my 2008 H3 Alpha. Basically, the lights would not come on until the vehicle was in drive. Now, originally in my tutorial, I actually demonstrated how to do this on a 2006 Hummer H3, and when I turned on the H3's electronics, the lights would turn on automatically. So it could be that there is some differences between model years on how the factory wiring works. So if this is in fact the case, this doesn't actually have anything to do specifically with our new 7-inch headlight install. This is just how GM wired the vehicle originally to work. And the stock headlights would actually operate in the same way. So that's just a note about that. So yeah, basically if your lights aren't coming on at all, try putting it in drive and see if they come on. So another common problem I keep seeing people have is that their headlights are inverted. So their high beams are on when their low beams should be on, and vice versa. In my original tutorial, I did actually mention how to fix this problem, but I will go ahead and go over it in this video again, just in case you missed it, because I only mentioned that part when we were talking about how to install the relay harness kit, which is method 1. So what you need to do is check the wires on your H13 to H4 adapter to make sure those are correct. I'm going to go ahead and play that clip where I explain that. So let's get into that right now. So here's a really important bit of information about the H4 to H13 adapters, and that is to make sure the wiring that goes across is correct. So blue goes to blue, white goes to white, and black goes to black. That's fine. However, I ordered a second set of lights, and it did come with its own H4 to H13 adapter, which is nice. Don't mind the plug, it looks different, but what we need to look at is the wires. Look at that. Instead of a blue wire here, we have a white wire. And instead of a white wire here, we have a blue wire. And that is a problem because these two wires here control the high and low beams. And by switching these around, we're inverting the high and low beams. So you really need to make sure that the coloring on the wire is correct, and if it's not, you might have to switch these around in order to get them to work properly. So hopefully that clip helped to clear up any confusion you may have had. So now let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Now, one really important point that I really wish I would have covered in my original video is that if you have a foreign market H3, so if you own a Hummer H3 and you do not live in the United States, this install might not work out for you. Again, I'm really sorry I didn't say anything earlier, but basically why this install is not going to work on almost all non-US H3s is they have a different factory headlight assembly than the Hummer H3 that we have here in America. Now, the OEM headlight assembly we have here in the United States looks like this, in comparison to the foreign market H3, which looks like this. So on the American version of the H3, the headlight lens is actually circular in shape and has a black bezel surrounding it. Also on the headlight assembly, the turn signals are orange in color. So in almost all other H3 markets, due to different automotive regulations that countries set, foreign market H3s have a oval-shaped headlight with a chrome bezel surrounding them. And they also have a clear turn signal on the headlight assembly. So this different oval-shaped headlight actually becomes a problem for non-US H3s because the back of the headlight is actually physically bigger than the US version. Now this becomes a problem because now our circular shape back here is much wider on both sides, and that is going to affect where our studs on here are placed, that have our 4-prong clips. So they're actually going to be in a different spot than this spot right here. So this in turn actually affects where our ball heads are going to be on our headlight assembly. This essentially means that the Lays Designs adapter will not actually be able to fit the foreign market H3 headlight assembly because the ball heads are in a physically different spot than they are on the US version. Now, I do want to say that not every single H3 outside the US market has these foreign market headlights. Now, I know this may sound kind of strange, but I myself have actually seen some foreign market H3s that do in fact have the American version of the headlight assembly for sale. So this may not actually apply to every single person living outside the United States, so there is a chance your H3 has the American version. Now, maybe in the future, Lays Designs could come out with a foreign market H3 headlight adapter, but as of right now, there is no word on that. Now, if you are an H3 owner and you do in fact have a set of these foreign market headlights, there is technically a way that you could do the 7-inch headlight install, but it will cost more. What you could do is buy the US version of the headlight assembly, and then you would be able to run the headlight adapter. You can actually pick a set of these headlight assemblies up for around $150 USD on ebay.com, not ebay.com.au or whichever country you come from. If you do decide to get one of these American headlight assemblies, I would definitely make sure that you are getting the headlight wiring harness with it, because a lot of the brand new ones that are being sold on eBay right now are meant to be replacement units, so they don't actually come with the harness themselves. It wouldn't be a good idea to actually skip out on these because the foreign market version of the headlight harness is actually different. So what you could do is either buy one of these headlight assemblies brand new and get the harness separately, or you could actually go ahead and just pick up a used pair. A lot of times the wiring harness for the headlight will actually come with it, so you could have everything all in one. Now, I do want to give a big disclaimer that I have not tried doing this before on a foreign market H3, so I cannot guarantee that this will work, but it might be worth a try. If one of you guys do end up doing this, let us know how it goes by posting your experience down in the comment section below. I would love to hear if this actually works. I have a feeling it will, I just haven't tested it myself, and I don't want to formally recommend this because I don't know if it works 100% for sure. Alright, so now on to the next subject. Another question that I frequently get asked is, do these Lay's Designs adapters work on the Hummer H2? The answer to that is no, they will not, because there's actually no need for these adapters. If you were wondering if you could fit these 7-inch LED headlights into your Hummer H2, you can actually get them to fit into the headlight assembly without using the adapters. Depending on which headlights you buy, you might actually have to do some trimming though. But the trimming that you have to do is not actually that bad. Also, the H2 doesn't actually need to use the polarity converter like we did on the H3. Unfortunately, I will not be making a tutorial on how to install 7-inch headlights on a Hummer H2 because I don't have one. But if you go ahead and look on YouTube right now, there are already some videos out there showing you how to install them. Alright, so that about does it for this video. I think I pretty much covered all of the main frequently asked questions that I keep seeing pop up on the channel. If you guys still have more questions for me related to the 7-inch headlight install, just go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section down below and I will do my best to answer it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and props to you if you watched the video the entire way through. But anyway, I will see you guys later.